Welcome back. It's Freedom Day tomorrow, and this morning we speak to those born after South Africa became a democratic state. Just what do the born frees, as some would call them, think of post-apartheid South Africa? Is politics important to them? What will determine who gets their vote in 2014? Well, Caitlin Latimer and Oluwethu Ndombela join us now in studio. Very good morning to you, ladies, and thanks again for your time. I'm going to start with you, Oluwethu. What does freedom mean to you? How would you define it?
Okay, it's a very firm word, it's a very strong word. Freedom to me is being able to study anything, being able to be who I am, regardless of my color, especially black, being free from called a black person or a kafir, which people used to refer to, which doesn't mean black people. So freedom to me is going out there and doing the best I can, being a star, like Rihanna would say.
Coming to morning news today.
Yes.
Katie, you know, every generation will say the generation that comes after them is going down the drain. We have horrific stories of what some young people get up to these days. What would you say, though, to people who say, you know, young children today are too focused on Twitter and Facebook and not enough on politics and things like patriotism? What do you have to say to that?
Well, I would say that we're not as bad as we seem, actually. I would say that we are very focused on Facebook and Twitter, but it's just a way of expressing ourselves. And we are interested in politics, as it's another forum as we can get our news and we can hear about what's happening in the world.
And Oluwethu, you know, when you hear of stories, going back to some of those horrific stories that you hear, teenage pregnancy, children doing drugs and alcohol, I'm sure you may know one or two people in your circle of friends perhaps who've fallen pregnant before time and are, you know, in trouble for one reason or another. How does that make you feel as a young South African?
Well, disappointed. It disappoints me. I mean, when I look back at the hard work that the people who fought for freedom put up with, the difficulties, you know, it shouldn't be, according to my thoughts, it shouldn't be the results that we see today, especially if the country is 19 years old. But anyway, I think that we can still go back. I think that we need to be reminded constantly, every time. I'm not saying that, yes, it is preached, but I think we need to be reminded, you know, physically, and we can just go back to it.
And Katie, I just want to find out from you. Now, I spoke to you guys off air, and I promised I'm not going to ask you who you're going to vote for, but I wanted to know whether or not you are going to vote. Are you going to vote?
I would vote, definitely, yes. I feel it's such an important thing to vote for the party you feel is right for the country and get your opinion out there.
And what kind of government would you like to see if you had your way?
If I had my way, the type of government I'd like to see is the one that puts the people first, that puts the needs of the people first, and that will deal with things such as education and stuff like that. That is absolutely necessary and vital for the running of our country.
Oluwethu, do you think young South Africans know enough about their rights and exercise them as best they can?
Yes and no. Yes, they do know about their rights, but there's a misinterpretation of what is a right, especially to a young black South African. So yes, they do know, but no, they don't know how to carry their responsibilities. So yeah.
And before we go, which one is your favorite right or liberty? One thing that you say, oh, if we hadn't fought and achieved this, I would not be a very happy chappy.
Oh, that's such a difficult one because there's so many. I feel that there's no one right that I like more than the other. I feel that they're all so important. There's not one freedom that I feel that can absolutely take over the next. I feel they're all equally important.
Oh, wonderful. And before you go, ladies, I want to know what you want to be when you're done with your studies so that one day I can say, you know, I chatted to these ladies before they were, and if you make it, then I can say to you, hook a sister up. Tell me what you want to be when you grow up.
I want to be a Chief Justice. I am very inspired by law in South Africa, and I'm currently studying law. I want to see some few changes in our laws, and I was very, very inspired by the late Chief Justice and judges like Mr. Langa. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. So if ever I'm in trouble in the next few years, I know who to call.
Please, just wave your hand.
Well, it's a bit of a tough decision because I'm still at school, but I really like the idea of law and then focusing later on in international and human rights law and then hopefully working for the UN one day if I possibly can.
I love it. So much ambition. Ladies, we're going to have to leave it there. We could go on and on, you and I. That was Caitlin Latimer and Oluwethu Ndombela.
News that moves. eNCA.com.